Good morning, everyone. We are going to begin this special festive morning with singing together, Please Rise in Body and Spirit. We're going to sing number 40 in the gray hymnal, The Morning Hangs a Signal, but the words should be on the screen as well. We are gathered here this morning to lift our souls above the drift of days, to allow ourselves some space in this busy time, this season of so many holidays and gatherings and activities, to give ourselves this time, this hour in beloved community where we gather once again to nurture wonder, inspire action, and I'm saying it differently this morning. To nurture wonder, inspire action, and live with integrity in this complicated and heartbreaking and beautiful world. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. I'm the Reverend Julia Hamilton. My pronouns are she, her, and I am delighted to be with you this morning on the first Sunday of December, the first of a series of events that we kick off to celebrate all the holidays this year. And this Sunday, of course, is our craft party, our beloved annual tradition, and it is getting set up in Parish Hall as we speak. And so after our kids are here with us in the beginning, we're going to be sending them off to get their craft going, and then everyone is invited to join in the fun. You don't even have to be great at gluing things together, just try your hand at it and have a good time. We are also going to be doing our annual holiday play next Sunday, so get prepared for a very different order of service as we celebrate many of the holidays together, and our kids and adults in a multi-generational cast bring them to life with stories and music. It should be a good time for everyone. We also have our solstice service coming up, our sundown service on 4 p.m. on the 21st, where we'll be gathering at Goleta Beach to light candles and honor the sun setting on the shortest day of the year, welcoming the longest night. It's become a beautiful tradition to gather at the shore on that evening. And of course, we have Christmas Eve coming up right around the corner. Our 3 services at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, each one a little bit different, each one speaking to the spirit of the season. And so I invite you to come to one or all, and especially invite you to consider ushering for one of our Christmas Eve services. We can't make it happen without a team of people here, so if you would be willing to, it's a very simple job on Christmas Eve, hand out orders of service. Please talk to Kiara Watson, our membership and outreach manager, to sign up to help out ushering on Christmas Eve. There's a lot going on in the world, isn't there? A lot going on in our lives that we carry with us into this sacred space. If you are visiting with us, we would love to get to know you better. Please stop by our welcome table or click the visitor link in the online service. And if you're ready to join this community, if you think this might be your spiritual home, we're ready to welcome you into membership at any time. Please talk to Kiara at our membership table. I invite you now to take a breath, to settle yourself wherever you are. Allow yourself this moment in community as we ring our bell and let the sound connect us.
If you are participating from home, please join in lighting our chalice, which we do today in the spirit of renewal, as we share a time both of letting go and looking forward to another year of possibilities. Each Sunday we share a story of hope and inspiration. Today's One Good Thing is a short compendium of good news from the natural world. For the first time worldwide, renewable energy is generating more electricity than coal. Please, there's a whole bunch of these. There's a whole bunch of these. The ozone hole has been steadily closing due to the international ban of harmful aerosols. The Indian tiger population is on the rebound. Green turtles have been removed from the endangered list. Jaguars in Mexico have increased by 30% over the last 10 years. Closer to home, a new 116-mile stretch of Central Coast was designated as part of the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary. Salmon have returned to the Klamath River in abundance, following the removal of the dams which blocked their migration. And my favorite story about my favorite animal is from Romania. The government there was planning a $30 million dam across the Lalomita River, but the beavers beat them to it. The beavers built the dam themselves for free. These stories demonstrate the resilience of nature. We also are part of the natural world. We share the same capacity to heal and regenerate as all creation.
And that's a good. We're going to sing together number 226, People Look East. Please rise in body and spirit to sing 226, People Look East.
Settle
So, as we mentioned, this is the first Sunday of December, which means that we get to celebrate December birthdays and send all of our December birthday folks some love and care for the coming year. So, if you have a December birthday, come on up here and let's say hello. If you want to just kind of gather yourself up here, I believe we have some birthday star stickers that Charlotte is going to help out, hand out. We've got quite a few December birthdays this nice. Well, come on up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this microphone down the row, and we are going to ask you to say your name and the day you were born. And if you want to tell us how old you are, that is always optional. We love you no matter what age you are. And we have a lot of folks, so we're going to hold applause for these people until we introduce everyone. Goodness gracious, December, a popular birthday month. Let's go ahead and start down here. Do you want to just say your name and your birthday?
I'm Arlo, and last month I missed it, but my birthday is in November 3rd, and I turned 10.
Excellent.
I'm Justine, and today I am 59.
I'm Ramseen, and I'll be 42 on December 26th.
Hello, I'm Chris. I will be 50 on December 11th.
I'm Jasper, and
She will be 6 on the day before Christmas.
Hi, I'm Andy Hahn, and it's tomorrow, so I will be 86. Happy to be here. Hi, my name's Eden. I will be 42 on December 31st.
I'm Sarah. I turned 41 on Friday.
Hello, I'm Marissa, and I turned 39 on Tuesday.
Hi, I'm Jody. I turned 6, 7 on December 2nd. I feel like it's a good year for that.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and this Thursday I will be 19.
I'm Tim, and I will no longer be 65 on the 29th.
I'm Becky. I'm turning 75 on
Well, if you know of anybody at home, if you want to put their birthdays in the chat. And one of the readings we often read on Christmas is that every night a child is born is a holy night. And so we're going to take a moment and we're going to send some love and care towards these fine birthday folks wherever they may be, that this coming year might unfold for joy for you, that you may have friends to laugh with in the good times and cry with in the hard times, that your heart may open, your mind expand to the wonders of this world, and compassion bloom among you. We are so glad you are a part of this world, which is richer because you are here. Happy birthday. You may be seated. So I'm going to invite the kids. You want to stay up here? Kids, if you want to come on up here. We have a very short little time for all ages this morning before we send you out to the craft party, which I know you're all very anxious to do. And the time for all ages this morning is going to be about what we're talking about here on Sunday, this first Sunday of December, and that is a special holiday leading up to Christmas in the Christian tradition called Advent. Now, I have up here two things next to our chalice that aren't normally up here. The first is this. Does anybody know what this is? It's a Christmas tree. What does it have on it? What's it have on it? Candles, yeah. What else? Stars on it. What about these ornaments? What about these things? Do most Christmas trees have these little doors? No, most Christmas trees don't have these little doors that you open. This is a Christmas tree. What do you think?
I think it's a Christmas tree, and every time when we have church, we're going to open one of those little boxes and see the surprise.
So possibly every time we have church, we'll open one of these little doors and see the surprise inside. Well, that's kind of the idea, except this is called an Advent calendar, and this is one I've had since I was a little kid. It's with me my whole life, and every day in December, there's a number written on each door, and you open it up, and you get to see the little picture inside of it, and that's how you count down to Christmas Eve. I also have an Advent calendar at home that has different flavors of jam for every day, counting down to Christmas Eve. There's all kinds of Advent calendars out there. There's also something up here that's called an Advent wreath. And this is from the Christian tradition waiting for the arrival of the baby Jesus on Christmas Eve. And there's 4 candles. And the candles represent hope and peace and joy and love. Those are all things that we value here at the Unitarian Society. So I thought I would bring out the Advent wreath for this Sunday when we're going to be talking about Advent. And because this is the second Sunday of Advent, the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas, we're going to light the 2 candles for the first 2 Sundays of Advent. And the last candle there in the middle usually gets lit on Christmas Eve. And this second candle, this is the candle that inspires us to think about peace. So we're going to be doing some thinking about peace. And I invite everybody to spend this week, if you want to, thinking about peace. Peace in the world, peace in yourself, peace amongst your friends. What does that look like and mean for you? Now, one of the things is that you can find peace in very joyful and chaotic environments. It doesn't always mean sitting quietly. There is a peace that comes in creativity, peace that comes in community, and so we are going to send you out with song, not through those doors like we normally do, but out through the side door. You can follow Charla, and we can't wait to see what you create at the craft party. Let us sing our kids out. At this point, I would like to invite Woodwin Coons to come forward to offer a reflection this morning.
Good morning. So my name's Woodwin. I use pronouns she and they. And I want to talk a little bit about why, what moved me to support the Capitol campaign. But to do that, I want to go back and start and talk about what brought my family here. So back in 2022, I had 2 kids, my husband Dimitri and I, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. And when we were searching for a spiritual community, I started by looking up which congregations or which denominations had first ordained an openly trans minister or rabbi. And, I did some research, and the reason was that we as a family are queer, trans, non-binary, and we're looking for a place where belonging was not just communicated, but enacted, right? Where values were lived, were embodied through action. And it was a time when I was feeling, and I think as a family we were feeling very much in need of a space of refuge. It's only gotten worse. But when I discovered that the Unitarian Universalists ordained an openly trans minister in 1988, I was like, okay, now we're talking. And of course, then I went on to discover that they ordained their first woman minister in 1863 and their first openly gay minister in 1979. So, yeah, this was feeling good. Then, of course, once we decided, okay, Unitarian Universalist is a place that we're interested in and, you know, we want to know more about, we needed to look for a specific congregation. And we looked at a number of places, but we came to this place and selected this place partly because of its beauty, its history, and why did the history matter to me? And I was thinking about this as I was, you know, thinking about why the capital campaign matters to me. And I think it was this sense that this was an enduring refuge space. This was a space across time, a refuge across time, a sanctuary across time. That it had been that for other families, and it was going to be that for our family. And when I look ahead, now that my kids are a little older, one's starting college next year, and one's going to go into high school next year, and I think ahead to 15 years from now, or 50 years from now, or 100 years from now, I want that family or that person to feel that same sense of refuge, of letting your shoulders be able to relax a little bit, of knowing that you're in a place where you're safe, where you feel not just tolerated, but embraced, respected, loved, and treated with respect and dignity. And I was thinking about that with like a family, a disabled family, a person who is always aware, you know, not just what people say, but are there spaces that are literally physically welcoming, that actually have, that are spaces that communicate, hey, we've thought about everybody, and we've actually created a space that's for everybody. And so that is what matters to me when I think about making this beautiful, historic, flexible, and evolving space a space of accessibility, refuge, welcome, love, belonging, and really living our values and enacting our values as Unitarian Universalists. A refuge across time.
The word sanctuary has come to be so meaningful to us these days, both the physical space in which we gather and the commitment that we offer to be sanctuary for one another in these times. It is beautiful to be a part of this work with you, and I am so proud and honored to be your minister and doing this ministry together in these times. Thank you, Woodwin. As we enter into a time of reflection and prayer, we begin with our monarch branch, which is a new piece of this time that we've added over these past couple of weeks. Each butterfly on this branch represents someone who was taken from our community by ICE over this past year. And this week, we add 2 monarchs to remember the 2 people abducted from Santa Barbara County this past week. These are our friends and neighbors, and we will ring our bell for each of them because we will not be silent while they are targeted for harassment and abuse. We are one human family, and we commit to bearing witness to their lives until this violence against our neighbors ends. I invite you once again to settle yourself where you are, to get in touch with your breath and your body as we enter into a time of meditation, prayer, and reflection. As you become aware of yourself in this community, a body among other bodies, wherever you are. And in the spirit of Advent, I invite us to reflect on what peace looks like for you this season. What does it feel like? Where does it live inside of you, in your body? Is peace like an idea that begins in your head and washes over you like cool water? Is peace a warm glow that starts in your heart and radiates outward? Is peace a calmness in your gut? The feeling of safety or ease? Is it a full and easy stomach? Is it breath that moves in and out of your lungs? Perhaps peace starts in the ground for you and moves upward, feeling the solid support of the earth that needs nothing but your presence to be complete. Wherever peace begins inside of you, in the next moment of silence, let that feeling, that grounded feeling, that impulse of peace ripple out from you into this world so that we may be instruments of peace wherever we go. I invite you to stay right where you are as we sing together number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Help me live with dignity.
two readings that I want to share this morning. They are readings on a theme, as you will hear. And I'm going to move over here. The first one is from the Gospel of Matthew, the Beatitudes. How many of you have heard of the Beatitudes? Quite a few. These are probably some of the most famous words in the Christian scriptures. They are the first part of what is known as the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus gave. And Beatitudes means a state of blessedness, a state of supreme happiness. This is a list of things that will bring that state of supreme happiness. They have this poetic phrasing, this rhythmic repetition of blessed are they. You will probably find them familiar. They're very shareable sound bites, very memeable in modern parlance. And they are a reminder that Jesus was, among other things, an accomplished preacher who knew how to use the tools of communication to make his point. So this morning I'm going to read the 9 Beatitudes as written in Matthew and translated in the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, and then followed with a new set of Beatitudes, Beatitudes for Justice Builders, written by the Reverend Lindy Ramsden, who has been a mentor to me over my career, who has been committed to the work of justice her whole life, and who used the Beatitudes as a springboard for imagining other ways that we might interpret this sacred text. So the first from Matthew 5. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you and persecute you, and you shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. That familiar rhythm, blessed are they. And the Reverend Lindy Ramsden writes it this way. Blessed are you who can question your own assumptions and listen with an open mind. You will receive new insights beyond your imagining. Blessed are you who suffer the attacks of others to stand up for what is right. You will not be alone, for your courage will inspire others to rise. Blessed are you who build friendships as well as justice. Even when you lose an issue, you will have strengthened the foundation of your community. Blessed are you who take delight in people. You will not be bored in meetings. Blessed are you who lead with enthusiasm and confidence, resisting the temptation to shame the apathetic or self-absorbed. You will inspire curiosity and hope in others. Blessed are you who play as well as work. You will have more fun, build more energy, and draw the powers of the impish to your cause. Blessed are you who ask for help in your role as leaders. You will find teachers at every turn, and your work will remain interesting and alive. Blessed are you who, when wrongfully attacked, find safe outlets for your righteous rage. Your mind will be clear, your decisions strategic, and your progress will not be derailed by the backlash of the fearful. Blessed are you who do not demonize your opponents. Your eyes and your hearts will be open. Blessed are you who offer thanks and praise fivefold for every critique. Your children will want to visit you after you are grown. People will want to serve on your committees. and friends will be interested in your opinions. Blessed are you who study the rhythms of history. You will have knowledge with which to shape the future. Blessed are you who work in coalition rather than in principled isolation. You will meet great people, learn things you didn't realize you needed to know, and have partners for the journey when you are in the lead or in need. Blessed are you who discover, train, and encourage young leaders. You will see your work expand and grow beyond your own time and talent. Blessed are you who can change your mind. You are still alive. Blessed are you with an active spiritual life. You will find perspective and comfort in times of loss and betrayal, and will rise without cynicism to meet the challenges of a new day. And blessed are you who live from a place of gratitude, for you will know the meaning of life. So end our reading of the Beatitudes this morning.
Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism is our outreach offering for December. Please familiarize yourself with this worthy organization by reading about it in your order of service. Please read with me the affirmation of gratitude and giving printed in your order of service. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Thank you, choir. The sermon this morning is a little bit of Advent, a little bit of Unitarian Universalist history, a little bit of personal theology, and an invitation for all of us to practice the pluralism that is a core value of our faith. Usually when we think of pluralism, we think of people of multiple faiths living together side by side, Buddhist and Christian, Hindu and Muslim, all sharing space. We might think of all the diverse religious backgrounds here in this room. People who are raised Catholic, or Presbyterian, or Jewish, or Latter-day Saints, or in a multi-faith household, or of no particular religious background at all. But in Unitarian Universalism, the idea of pluralism runs deeper than just interfaith friendship. Because we have no creed or unifying statement of belief, if there are 150 people in this room, there are 150 theologies or more, depending on how we feel when we wake up that morning. So pluralism as a core value is not just about peaceful coexistence, but about a belief that the diversity among us should not just be tolerated, but celebrated. That getting to know one another, the stories and beliefs and traditions that each of us find meaningful, that this engagement with one another strengthens us rather than divides us and invites us toward a kind of spiritual growth that cannot happen in isolation. Instead of avoiding conversations about our beliefs because we are afraid they will cause conflict, we lean into them with a graceful curiosity and an open mind and heart, knowing that sharing these innermost commitments with one another will bring us closer together when we engage in mutually respectful, pluralistic conversation. So when we talk about a religious figure like Jesus, as we are doing today, I do so with a certain amount of the humility that is necessary for a pluralistic community to thrive. And the understanding that I am not here to give you the one right and true answer, but rather to explore the evolution of Unitarian Universalist ideas of Jesus over time and make space for the ongoing, evolving multiplicity of feelings and thoughts that exist right here in this room. This is maybe a different approach than some conservative and fundamentalist traditions might take to Jesus, traditions which might hold fast to the my way or the highway approach, the strict interpretation of texts and stories that some of you might be intimately familiar with. Historically, Unitarian Universalism comes out of the Christian tradition, but we are now much more diverse than that. Full disclosure, I do not consider myself a Christian theologically, but the stories of Jesus, although they are not my personal spiritual home, I would be in denial if I said that cultural Christianity didn't have its hooks in me one way or the other. Born and raised in the United States, even though I was raised Unitarian Universalist, the cultural touchstones of the Christian story are the water I swim in. And because of this, I think it's important to reflect on the often taken for granted influence that Christianity, and specifically this morning, the person of Jesus, has among us, even if we consider ourselves agnostic, atheist, secular, or some other heretical position, or if we come out of another religious background altogether. As a side note, when I was taking history in high school, the conversation came up about what religious traditions we were from, and I said, "Oh, I'm a Unitarian Universalist," and the teacher, one of the most beloved in my school, looked at me and said, "Ah, a heretic." And I have embraced that ever since. On Christmas Eve, we gather to tell the story of the baby Jesus, the beginnings. But what do we do about Jesus, the fully grown person? What do we do with him in Unitarian Universalism? In a lot of ways, in a modern Unitarian Universalist congregation, it's easier to talk about the Buddha than Jesus, or share stories from the Bhagavad Gita than from the Bible. The relationship that many of us have to Christianity is so personal, so conflicted, and often just as likely to bring up painful memories as pleasant ones. And so I tread with care when bringing Jesus into the room, because that question always hovers in the air. Which Jesus is going to show up? Right? Will it be Jesus as social revolutionary who advocated for the poor and invited outcasts to the table? Will it be Jesus as your personal friend and Savior who hears all prayers and knows all things? Will it be Jesus as teacher who used metaphor and parable to tell stories about what it means to be a good person? Will it be Jesus as prophet and perhaps even zealot who talked about the end of the world and the kingdom of God a whole lot? Will it be Jesus as strict judge and jury, or Jesus as gentle guide? Will it be the baby Jesus nestled in the arms of his mother, sleeping peacefully, open to so many interpretations? Or will it be the bright and burning God of the end times separating the saved from the damned? So you can see why it might be tricky territory to talk about Jesus as if we are all talking about the same person. So let's back up a little and go over a bit of the historical relationship of the Unitarians and the Universalists to this person and the stories that surround him, because that's all we really have, after all, are stories. There's nothing we have that was written by Jesus himself. There was no GoPro capturing his most pertinent moments. There's not even any contemporaneous writings, people sitting in the back scribing what he was saying. The writings we do have, the one that we know so often as the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those Gospels, the earliest one wasn't written until 70 years after he died. The gospel we know as Mark, who sat down and wrote what he knew of the stories that everyone was telling about this person named Jesus, who many, including Mark, thought was the Messiah. And the rest of the Gospels came along a few years later, probably between 80 and 120 CE, also as this compilation of stories and collective rememberings and theological interpretations. There wasn't just one text, but many texts that slowly accumulated over the years. There's this whole field of biblical scholarship known as source criticism. Criticism in the academic sense of a field of study, not as we casually use it to mean a negative takedown. Source criticism seeks to understand the history of the texts themselves, who wrote them, when, and what sources influenced those original authors. Which brings me to my first point about Unitarian Universalism and Jesus, which is that we come from a tradition that understands biblical texts to be the product of human writings. Writing in a particular time and a particular place with a particular history and agenda. The texts as we read them are, of course, also in translation, unless any of you speak Aramaic, which I don't put out the realm of possibility because we have some very well-studied folks in us. But unless any of you speak Aramaic, we are reading this in translation. So the agenda of the translators also matters, even those original translators who moved from Aramaic into ancient Greek, right? So the Greek text is already in translation. Layer after layer of people had their hands in these stories that come to us with the words that we read just earlier. This Unitarian position was articulated succinctly in 1819 by the Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing, whose name is on one of the windows here, I believe back there. In this defining sermon he preached in 1819, which became called Unitarian Christianity. Oh yeah, there's Channing over there. He said, "Our leading principle in interpreting Scripture is this, that the Bible is a book written for men in the language of men, and that its meaning is to be sought in the same manner as that of other books." His gendered language notwithstanding, the idea that biblical text is to be taken not as the literal word of God, but interpreted through the use of historical analysis and our, as he put it, God-given reason, the same way we would treat any other text that we came across. This is generally the way that Unitarian Universalists have approached the stories about the life of Jesus for a long time. He was a person living in a particular place and time. And the stories about him and the teachings he shared were influenced by when and where he and the authors and the editors of the text lived. Which brings me to my next point, that just as Jesus is the product of a particular time and place, so are we. We cannot forget that we also have agendas that shift and change over time, and experiences that shape the way we relate to these stories. So if you are someone who is committed to social justice, the Jesus who turned over the tables in the temple might be what inspires you. If you are someone who is dealing with a deep and personal serious concern, a serious illness, maybe the stories about Jesus as healer are what you turn to. If you're longing for a fresh start in your life, the metaphor of resurrection might be very meaningful. In Unitarian Universalism, because we have no creed, and because we see these texts as metaphorical rather than literal stories and open to multiple interpretations, we do not need Jesus to be any one thing, and one thing only. We don't even need Jesus to be your thing. There is plenty of room here for those who find their meaning in places other than the Bible. I am less interested in finding the real Jesus than I am in understanding how and why these stories move people over 2,000 years later. The flexibility of these different ideas about this person of Jesus is perhaps one of the reasons why Christianity has adapted itself globally to so many different contexts. But just because there is a certain amount of flexibility within Unitarian Universalism and its relationship to the Christian tradition doesn't mean there aren't commonly held perspectives. And the most obvious commonalities are right there in our name. Unitarian, which is in contrast to Trinitarian, which means that we define Jesus as something other than God, even if we don't agree exactly on what that something else might be. And universalist, which comes from the idea of universal salvation grounded in love, which means that no one is condemned to everlasting punishment after death. Over the years, these concepts have evolved to include influences from many other religious traditions, as well as non-theistic ways of understanding the world, but originally they were Christian heresies. So let's go back in time again to those first several centuries after Jesus died. Everyone was arguing about what he was and what he meant and what happened after he died. Was he divine or human? Did he think that the world was going to end soon, like next month? Or was he talking about something far off in the distant future? Was he resurrected? Would he come back? And what did salvation mean anyway, and how did one go about getting it? No one had a solid answer for these, but eventually in 325 CE, the official beliefs of the emerging Christian church were solidified at the Council of Nicaea, and it became official. Jesus was a part of the divine Trinity and necessary for the saving of souls. The Unitarian and Universalist theologians and their heresies that had offered up alternative interpretations, they lost the argument. It would be hundreds of years before their ideas would surface again during the Protestant Reformation. And then once again, most of the time, they lost the argument. And small pockets of Unitarians and Universalists continued to question the status quo. Continue to talk about what does it mean to believe that Jesus' message was not so much about separating the sinners from the saved, but really about how everyone was beloved and worthy, and what it means to love one another in that spirit. This is the spirit of Jesus that those early Unitarians and Universalists carried forward. These heretics persisted, asking questions and writing pamphlets, which were the memes of the day, gathering in small groups until the 1800s when Unitarianism and Universalism really started to come into their own as distinct traditions. Still wrestling with the role of Jesus, but committed to this progressive and liberal faith that put more emphasis on how we live than what we believe. That we come together on the common way we want to treat each other and learn to love the world, and that it is possible to be a community with diverse beliefs under those agreements of love. And so by the time the Unitarians and the Universalists merged in 1961 here in the United States to become one faith, they had kind of moved outside underneath the umbrella of traditional Christianity. And by that time, I would say most Unitarian Universalists talked about Jesus as a moral exemplar, someone who taught about how to love your neighbor, someone who included the marginalized and the poor at the table, someone who worked for peace, healing, and reconciliation. Not the only source of wisdom in the world, but one of many teachers that arise from time to time and shape our understanding of what is good and right. And that's why I included the Beatitudes that I read earlier, both the biblical text and the reimagined Beatitudes that Reverend Ramsden wrote. Being a Unitarian Universalist means that we can take a text like the Beatitudes, words that are probably familiar even if you don't know where they came from. We can sift through them for inspiration and meaning that resonates with us today, even as we leave behind some of the parts that don't. Because after all, Jesus was human, not perfect, and we're not obligated to make everything he did or said work for us, or make sense in the modern era, or translate it into our own lives. We can listen with an open heart, pull the pieces that inspire us into our heart. Perhaps, as Reverend Ramsden did, find new ways to articulate our hopes for the good. So this Advent season, I invite us to use the stories about Jesus as a catalyst, to reflect on these transcendent values of hope and peace, of joy and love. We can take with us the abiding light that wisdom stories and great teachers share. Hold lightly and with tenderness the places where others find meaning in different ways. And let go of anything that does not serve the emergence of a more loving world. We can honor the message and spirit of the season, each in our own way, in community with all those who follow the light of love wherever it may shine. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Let us sing together, Make Channels for the Streams of Love. It is number 299 in your gray hymnal. The words are on the screen here. It's a sweet and short little hymn. Please rise in body and spirit, and let us sing together.
Streams of love, where they may broadly run.
I invite you to stay right where you are, and if you want to put your hands over your heart, or if you have permission to hold hands with someone next to you, go ahead and do that, or hold your hand open wherever you are, however it is that gets you connected to this larger life and love that flows through us. And as you go out into this season, this beautiful and heartbreaking world, may the light of love shine upon you, out from within you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And let us call out a blessing.